What is the purpose of life? Why do we exist? And what is the meaning behind it all? These are questions that have plagued humanity for centuries. And among the many thinkers and writers who have tried to answer these questions, one name stands out: Leo Tolstoy. Tolstoy, the legendary Russian novelist, is celebrated for his masterpieces like War and Peace and Anna Karenina. Yet, behind the curtain of literary fame and wealth, he grappled with deep existential despair. He questioned everything: his purpose, the nature of existence, and the inevitability of death. Today, we'll take a deep dive into Tolstoy's remarkable journey from hopelessness to spiritual awakening and explore how he found answers to life's most profound questions. At the age of 50, Tolstoy was at the height of his success. He had wealth, fame, and a loving family. His novels were celebrated worldwide, and he was admired by many. But despite having everything one might dream of, Tolstoy found himself sinking into an existential crisis. He couldn't escape the nagging questions. Why am I here? What's the point of life if it's all going to end in death? These thoughts became so overwhelming that he often contemplated ending his life. Sleep was his only refuge, as it offered temporary relief from the storm of his thoughts. In his autobiographical essay, A Confession, Tolstoy described this period as one of utter darkness. He wrote, "If not now, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then in 30 years. Does it make any difference?" This chilling perspective reflected his growing sense of despair. It was during this time that Tolstoy began his search for meaning, a journey that would take him through philosophy, science, and faith. Tolstoy reflected deeply on a parable that would later symbolize his internal struggle. Imagine a man fleeing from a wild beast. In his desperation, he jumps into a well, only to find a dragon waiting at the bottom. Clinging to a branch, he notices drops of honey on its leaves. Despite the danger above and below, the man reaches out and tastes the honey, momentarily distracted from his impending doom. For Tolstoy, this parable mirrored his own life. The wild beast above represented existential dread, while the dragon below symbolized death. The honey was the fleeting pleasures of life, sweet but ultimately incapable of resolving the deeper questions of existence. This realization pushed him to explore different ideologies and philosophies in search of answers. Tolstoy's first stop was philosophy. He immersed himself in the works of great thinkers like Solomon, Socrates, and Buddha. These philosophers had grappled with similar questions, yet their conclusions left Tolstoy unsatisfied. Many seemed to agree on one grim point: that death was preferable to life, and true happiness could only come from escaping existence. Tolstoy's engagement with philosophy, though profound, failed to provide solace. Instead, it deepened his despair. He realized that reason and logic alone could not answer the most fundamental question: what is the meaning of life? Disillusioned with philosophy, Tolstoy turned to science, hoping it would offer clarity. However, science, with its emphasis on biological processes and Darwinian evolution, only magnified his sense of nihilism. To Tolstoy, science reduced humans to mere accidents of nature, valuable only as healthy organisms destined to perish once their biological functions ceased. While science provided knowledge about the physical world, it offered no guidance on how to live or why life mattered. Tolstoy felt that its explanations were cold and detached from the emotional and spiritual aspects of existence. As Tolstoy struggled with his questions, he began observing the lives of those around him. He noticed 4 ways in which people coped with the absurdity of existence. 1. Ignorance. Many people simply ignored life's big questions and lived without reflecting on their purpose. They avoided existential dread by staying busy and preoccupied. 2. Pleasure. Others turned to Epicureanism, indulging in material wealth, relationships, and entertainment to distract themselves from the fear of death and the meaninglessness of life. However, Tolstoy saw this as fleeting and unsatisfying, much like the honey in the parable. 3. Despair. Some people, overwhelmed by life's futility, chose to end their lives. Tolstoy himself had contemplated this path, but ultimately rejected it, believing it offered no resolution. 4. Existential limbo. The final group was trapped in a state of passive resignation. They neither embraced life nor rejected it, existing in a numb and stagnant state without direction or hope. It was during this period of despair that Tolstoy turned his attention to the lives of the poor. He was struck by their unwavering faith in God, despite their immense hardships. These peasants lived humbly, yet their belief in a higher power gave them resilience and purpose. This observation profoundly affected Tolstoy. He began to realize that faith, something he had dismissed earlier in life, might hold the answers he sought. Unlike reason, which demanded logical proof, faith provided a framework for understanding life beyond the limitations of the material world. Tolstoy's exploration of faith marked a turning point in his journey. He began to see it not as blind acceptance, but as a way of enduring life's challenges and finding meaning in suffering. He came to believe that the finite nature of human existence could only be reconciled by embracing the infinite, a concept he associated with God. This realization wasn't an immediate cure for his despair, but it opened a door to a new perspective. Faith became Tolstoy's anchor, offering him the peace and clarity he had long sought. Tolstoy's newfound faith transformed his life. He rejected the trappings of wealth and fame, choosing instead to live simply and dedicate himself to helping others. He saw humility and service as the highest virtues, aligning his life with his spiritual beliefs. This transition wasn't without challenges. His family, particularly his wife, struggled to accept his drastic changes. Yet for Tolstoy, this simpler existence brought a sense of fulfillment that had eluded him during his years of literary and material success. Tolstoy's journey from despair to faith is a testament to the human capacity for transformation. He taught us that life's meaning might not be found in wealth, fame, or even intellectual achievements, but in humility, service, and a belief in something greater than ourselves. His story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is a path forward. By seeking answers with an open heart and mind, we can discover our own meaning and purpose. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with the second part.